Hi, you guys. So this week, can you see the screen okay? You able to
Yes.
see that? Great. So this week, we're going to be talking a little bit about why to take a DNA test. So if you've taken a DNA test, you might see something like this if you're on Ancestry, but obviously there's other places that you can take DNA tests. So we're just going to talk in general using Ancestry about DNA a little bit. And if you haven't taken a test, we're going to give you some ideas of maybe why you might want to. So sometimes there'll be offers of, $39 on Ancestry, $33 on MyHeritage at different times during the year if you haven't taken one. And there's lots of fun things that you can do with your DNA test once you get it. And so we're just going to show you some of those ideas. So here's kind of the main screen when you get onto and click on DNA, and you'll see lots of different things that talk about the regions that your family are from, your matches, different traits that you might have, just a lot of kind of general information here on this main page. Um, and different ideas. But what we're going to go into a little bit more today is what you can do with all of these matches that you get on DNA. So assuming that you guys could kind of look through these things on the main page yourself. So going to the matches page, you're going to find all of a sudden you have a lot of cousins and relatives that you had no idea that you had, which is really, really fun. And usually it's set up this way where you're going to see who you're most closely related to first. So you can see I have my daughter, then it kind of goes to my uncle and my brothers and things like that. But what we're going to do is just kind of go through a little bit of the details of this. So first thing you'll notice with my daughter is that you'll see this really big number, this 33,455 centimorgans. It's how much we share of our DNA, so 50%. So our children get 50% of our DNA. Then it kind of changes from then on. We'll talk a little bit about that after the recording. But right now, just wanting to kind of show you some ideas about what you could do with this DNA. So one of the things that I do is I have 8 labels for my DNA contacts, and they're my 8 great grandparents. So if you can picture those 8 people on your line, your 8 great grandparents. And so for instance, Kayla, you see, she has all 8 of them. And then I just have a little starred matches. That's just something to kind of things I need to do or keep track of. But these are just showing that Kayla's related to all of my lines, obviously because she's my daughter. So all of the lines. And this has been really helpful to me, and I can go into more detail another time about the color coding and things like that. But it makes it a little bit easier when I go to look at these people to see, again, if I've figured out how I'm related to them, the colors. So for instance, on my uncle, you can see how it's kind of a little bit of kind of more of a green, gray, blue, I don't know, kind of a darker color. But then on my brother, you'll see it's a little bit lighter, kind of like a pink. So this is my mom's side, the pinkish side, and then my dad's side is more of this kind of darker color. And there's a little bit of a logic to that. But anyway, so this just helps you kind of label if you get some of these DNA connections. So just kind of wanted to mention some of those things. And wanted to mention some of the reasons that you might want to find these matches. And I'm going to give you an example of my cousin. Her name's Anna Mueller. And so Anna, I found her as one of my DNA connections. And one of the things that I'm working on is trying to break through a brick wall on my German side of the family. And as you can see on Anna's, she has it doesn't show any common ancestor. Sometimes you'll get a common ancestor. And so that makes it kind of easy, like to go, oh, that's my dad's side. It's my great grandpa Hardy, his side of the family or something like that. But Anna had nothing. So I just sent her a little message, just went up to the message and just said, hi, I see we're, cousins, trying to, get an idea of who you might be related to. And so I might mention those 8 great grandparents, just the last name, so I might say, do you recognize Hardy or Fehlberg or, something like that. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't necessarily respond to those messages. Some people just take the test and they're not really looking for anything else. And so sometimes they won't get back to you, but sometimes they do. And in Anna's case, she got back to me. And this was a really exciting thing for me. And I just want to use her as kind of a case study to kind of get you thinking about DNA matches. So with Anna, she's the only connection that I have on my German side of the family. And so I just wanted to show you what I do here. So when I finally got a hold of Anna, I go down to my group and I'm adding her to my Felberg group. So she's my only German cousin that I've been able to find so far. So now I know she's on my mom's side, that German side. I kind of add her to that group. And then I might add a little note too, just saying, Anna is my Felberg cousin, whatever you'd like to add there. So it's just kind of nice. You can start keeping track of these different contacts in your little connection folder here. And then, so one of the things that has been really great for me is now with Anna, just to give you an example, again with her, let's just pull up her family. So this is, mind you, I didn't know anybody in her family at all. So the families were kind of estranged, but even when they're not estranged, I feel like I still don't know half of these people in the line. And so this cousin Annie, you can see her picture, and I already made sure she's okay with me talking about her whole family today. But now what's happened is I found out who her husband was, who her children were, was able to get pictures of her parents, and Rosalind's, I forgot to put hers in, but her parents of her parents and her grandparents. For me, the pictures are super special. I mean, just to be able to see her face, see her dad's face, see her grandpa's face, that has just been really, really special to me, and definitely one of the perks. One of the other things is I have an uncle out in Quincy where she lives, where Anna lives. And anyway, long story short, her and her family have helped me so much with this uncle who now has to be in a care center. And anyway, who knew that this DNA test would be such a blessing in my life? And I could go on and on with stories. I think some of you have heard the story about my brother that we found out, that we found through DNA. And just lives 25 minutes away, and I get to see him all the time now. So it just makes me super happy. So I'm a big fan of DNA. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. I did want to mention too, I went ahead and did a trial of the Pro Tools is what it's called. And this is something that you have to pay extra for with Ancestry, for instance. But I just wanted to show you it. I just thought it'd be fun. I'm just going to do a trial and then we can show. So this would show Anna and I's shared matches. What here you see, we have no shared matches because I have no other German ancestors that are a German, family at all that has taken the ancestry test. So when I went to Roots Tech, one of the things that I found out was more about MyHeritage. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with MyHeritage, but if you're members of the LDS Church, you can go to familysearch.org/partner access, and Ancestry and MyHeritage are free to us. And one of the things that I found is that I could upload my DNA to MyHeritage. And so MyHeritage has been in, I don't know if you can see that fun thing that's happening right now, this little clusters. So MyHeritage has been in Europe for the last 20 years. And so most of their clientele is European descent. And they're starting to obviously spread the word in America. And obviously the connection with Family Search, they're seeing a lot of Americans start to take the MyHeritage test. But again, they were having a sale, $33. You could take a test with them or Ancestry, but you can also just upload your DNA information to their website. And so that's what I did. And so here you can see, for instance, on this auto cluster, what it does is it puts all of these relative connections that you have in DNA into these little clusters. And Kathy's going to talk a little bit more about that the beginning of May. But I just wanted to touch a little bit on that just so you can kind of see and get an idea of some of the fun things, again, that you can do with DNA. But you can see that this cluster is really big, and this is my pioneer, one of my pioneer ancestors. That's why it's so huge. But then I've got this little baby, sorry, gonna get a little emotional maybe, little baby cluster down here at the bottom. And I just barely found this, you guys, just the other day. and it's some German cousins. And so I need to reach out to them and do all the translation and things like that, but find out how we're related and things like that. So I'm just super excited that there's another place that I could, upload my DNA to and find some other cousins and see if I can break through some of those brick walls. So that just gives you kind of some ideas of some things that you can do with your DNA, just a light touch, but we'll go into more about that later. So let me go ahead and stop this recording. Thank you for coming, and